Welcome, everybody. Those of you who were here for the first part of the session in the academic writing stream. My name is Deborah. I'm at Victoria University, and it's my pleasure to chair this second session today. Now, this is a workshop, and we have Andrea Haines and we have Mariya. I hope I pronounced your name properly. They are learning developers at student learning at the University of Waikato. And they are involved in running writing retreats. Now, they've done them for many years, and I'm sure they will tell you more about it. But recently, they have transferred over to online writing retreats. They've been running these now for the last 3 years. And so they're going to lead a conversation, a show and tell, about how they create resources to facilitate and enhance students' writing online. And they are also encouraging participants, I think, to contribute and share their own experiences and resources. So, Maryam and Andrea, thank you very much. We look forward to hearing from you. Thank you.
Hi. Well, kia ora, everyone. It would be lovely if people could put their videos on. We're kind of very much going to be not just show and tell from our perspective, but also gathering in your ideas so we can be truly collaborative here. So that's the idea of our session. But we thought we'd start off taking the lead from our guest speaker, who was absolutely amazing, to stand up and just have a good stretch, because we've been online a bit. So, big stretch. Yeah.
And to the right.
And to the left. I think that's the left. Yes.
All right.
Now, 3 good deep breaths.
The last one. All right. Thank you for that. Well done.
Okay. That's lovely. We'll now put up our PowerPoint.
Yeah, and when we share the screen, can you please let us know that you are able to see it clearly? Thank you so much. Sharing.
Yeah. It's always a good.
Yeah.
Right. So we've called our presentation Conversations. So,
no, just a minute. Are you able to see our screen, please? Thank you.
Three little things. Who's out? Anybody?
No. Deborah, are you able to see our screen?
Yes.
Oh, thank you so
that's
much.
all right. Yes,
Yeah.
There was a.
Yeah, there was a bit of a quiet there. We didn't hear anybody's
Sorry.
Perhaps they're all highly expectant. So, okay. So as you can see from our cover, it's creating an online space of resources for academic writing. Now, our session today is going to look at...
it's actually a conversation between ourselves and the audience and the participants. So our conversation or workshop is about creating an online space of resources for academic writing.
Okay, so as Deborah has very kindly introduced us, I call Andrea, and this is Maryam, and we're both senior tutors here at the University of Waikato. I've been around a while, and we've both worked quite intensively together. So our session today first, this presentation actually arose out of our experience with running writing retreats for many years. And we used to provide a lovely physical space that people came to. We provided food, we provided opportunities for conversations, lots of peer resources, And so these were extremely popular and attracted large numbers of students who were at all stages of their thesis journey. So, but the opportunity to share, their peer support and the motivation was a huge part of people's interest in retreats. And I know many of you will have been running writing retreats. So when COVID hit, of course, that meant very much that we weren't able to do this anymore. So we'll show you a bit of our journey and at the same time gather from you ideas on how you've done your writing retreats, what sort of devices and platforms you've used, plus particular focus on academic writing. So we'll do that, sharing your experiences. We'll be using breakout rooms, we'll be doing show and tells, and we're doing share your thoughts. And after LearnFest last week, I came up with many ideas on how we could present. So we'll be using a few platforms that we haven't in the past. And so it'll be a bit of a trial for us as well as with you. And I'm sure your input is going to be really helpful.
And when we did our writing retreats online, we considered a number of things for the students. So we actually wanted minimum distractions, and we wanted students to get inspired. And also we wanted to focus on their writing needs as well. And so we considered looking at online writing resources for students. We wanted to build an engaging community online where students can safely come in and have a conversation with us about their various stages of writing. And also we wanted to put them in breakout rooms and talk about their writing journeys or their problems or difficulties. And we tried to help them write, and we helped them to figure out problems of their writing. For example, there were students who came to us looking for ways to incorporate other sources in their writing because they were stuck as to how they could do that. So we got into breakout rooms, we found links, we found resources, and we shared it on our Padlet. So it was actually a very inclusive environment, the virtual writing retreat. And we got all these words out of their feedback. So they thought the music that we played in the background during the coffee time was really good. We did a bit of yoga. We did a bit of quizzes and find the panda stuff. And they had writing blocks where they went away and wrote for 2 or 3 hours and then came back to us, and we had fun chats. So it was really a collaborative learning environment for the students. So this word cloud was done using Monkey-Learn. So this is one of the resources that we used
to gather the information
yes.
from the students, which was really, really valuable for us. So we had to have a platform, of course, and Zoom has become pretty much the place to go now. But we all know what the experience is of watching lovely black faces and those little red crosses in the corners. So what we were wanting to do was to create, as Maryam was said, we wanted to create a learning space in which people were really, really engaged and could get active and could get access to all the things that we were able to provide and collaborate.
Yeah,
So.
and we wanted people to show their faces and talk to us. So this is that was our main objective. So we wanted,
yes.
yeah.
So what we thought we might do here is to actually get you to do a little bit of work. So we know you've got lots of knowledge to share with us. So what your little task now is going to share your experiences of different online platforms which you feel could be useful for academic writing or generally teaching and learning. And the resources can be the areas that Cindy and just talked about before, the inclusivity, the bringing together people with the tutors, anything like that. We're really interested in. So Maryam's now going to set up a Jamboard for you to do some sharing.
Yeah. So let me share the Jamboard with you. I'll just stop sharing for now and come back again. So we'd like to invite you to this Jamboard. If you, oh, sorry, I need to share it with everyone and not only with Deborah. Yeah, so if you can please click the link that I've just shared on the chat, which will take you to this Jamboard, which I'm about to share on the screen. Yeah. So if you come to the Jamboard, we've actually created a Jamboard for us to brainstorm. So the topic is digital tools to enhance academic writing. So from your experience, what digital tools do you use to enhance students' academic writing? So for us, we have been using academic tools and referencing aids such as Writing at the University, which is our homegrown tool. And also we use the University of Manchester phrase bank a lot. And we use grammar tools such as Language for Locals, Grammarly, Paperator, and so on and so forth. And Grammar Girl is a favorite as well. So in order to use this Jamboard, what you need to do is you just click on the sticky note, and then you can think of the digital tool that you use with your students, or if there's a link that you use, or if there's a website that you particularly go into. So if you'd like to share that, just copy the link and paste it on the sticky note. Just stick it here, and then save it, and then it will come up here. So you can choose any color that you like. So Google Jamboard is actually a digital whiteboard where students can collaborate in real time. So it's just like other apps like the Google Docs and Google Slides, where you can come in and engage with each other and do brainstorm, or if you're doing a writing lesson, you can throw in a question and get students to write a paragraph on the sticky note, or you could even share an image. So if you go here, you can do a number of things.
Okay, so let's see what we get in here. Learning management system, right? Yeah, Grammarly, great. Yeah. Doesn't need to be just sort of the physical, like academic tools and referencing aids, other things. Massey, yes, Massey. Oh, others. Other things there. Right. Kahoot. Oh, that'll be interesting. Yeah, just to see how these people are using it. Phrase bank. Yeah. Menticon. Oh, great. Here comes quick class surveys. Yeah.
Yeah, great. Yeah, Manchester Phrase Bank is our favorite, isn't it?
I think it probably is, yes. One of the questions we so often get asked is, how do you incorporate authors' voices into your writing? So the other thing, and I haven't put it up there, but there are some tools for planning your writing that if anybody's had any experience, that would be great, because just sharing these different things that come up. Okay, word clouds. Yeah. Oh yeah, Alison. Yes, Alison Jones. I've actually got a copy of of Alison's work that she did. She came and did a workshop here at the University of Waikato, which was really helpful. Mac, yes, PowerPoint to help students map big picture structure. Yeah, and that's really good from the point of view of online support, because so often when we're with students, we'll perhaps be using the whiteboard or using ways to map things out for you. Any others?
Yeah,
Right.
and also the lessons on Moodle, even the Moodle itself has a lot of things that you can, a lot of tools that you can inbuild within Moodle. For example, things like lessons, H5Ps for quizzes and stuff like that. Yeah, wonderful. APS
good.
style website. Yeah,
Good. Yeah.
That's a really
yeah.
go-to website.
One of the things we found for the writing was that many people had problems with incorporating the voices of students, you know, when you're doing your results and finding sections in your PhD and other theses. So we found some tools there as well too. So we'll share those later. Oh, that's cool. So there's lots. Oh, menti.com was at the LearnFest last weekend too. So we've got lots of lovely things there. Oh, good. Thank
Wonderful.
you.
Thank you so much. So
Excellent.
as you can see, I'm sure you might have, some of you or most of you must have used Jamboard for different things in your teaching and learning. So this is one of the tools that we wanted to introduce today as well. Thank you for that community blog. Wonderful.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, great. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for that.
Oh, that's super. We've got lots and lots there.
Yeah.
Has anyone found a tool that kind of helps students with motivation, things like that for their work? Because that's sometimes useful. Because in our writing retreats, we that's a very important part of the retreat. So that I suppose the little extras we add on the slides are what that helps. How many people actually use Padlet to put their in terms of using for their presenting the tools? Oh, I like that. Getting students to record themselves. Oh, great. Yeah, some really interesting new ones coming up. Gosh, we're getting some great ideas here.
Yeah.
This is super. Yeah, no, good. Excellent.
Yeah, thank you for that.
Okay. So we can now, we'll go back to our slide. So what we're going to do now is find a way in which you can perhaps discuss some of these ideas that have come through. So we've already put down things on the board, on the Jam board. But what we'd really like to know recommendations, why you might choose, why are some that you've used not so good? And so that would be really helpful. So we're going to put you now in breakout rooms. How many we've got? 17. Breakout rooms are what, 3, 4?
Yeah. So I think we would need help from Deborah or somebody to put people in the breakout room.
Can you do that, Deborah?
Or you can try from here.
Andrea, you can't you?
Yeah,
Sure.
we can.
Good.
Yeah, we've got the. So how many people have we? 15.
We've got 15. Yeah.
So 3 groups.
3 groups. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah, so we've got the rights to put you into breakout rooms. Thank you for that. And so what we'd like us to do is when we get into breakout rooms, we would like you to consider these questions that I've posted on the chat. So what digital tools and resources do you use with your students? You've already done that on the Jamboard. So are there any recommendations and why not? And we'd like you to think about what did and didn't work for you. and what are the most interesting or engaging tools that you have successfully used with your students so far. So we'll just spend a few minutes talking about it, and we'll bring you back to the main room again, and then we'll go from there. So
We're particularly interested if people have done, and I'm sure many of you have already conducted online retreats, and so we'd be really keen to get your experiences.
All right, so off you go. Thank you so much.
Yeah, so from each group, we wondered if we perhaps had one person who might be able to just give us a little bit of an overview of what came through in your particular group. So we'll start with group 1. So I think had Catriona and others in it. So is there someone from your group who'd like to just talk a little bit about what came out of your session?
Mariam, do you want to do that? Because I only came in halfway. My apologies. I got called away to a phone call. So
Oh, I did too, which was very embarrassing. Yeah.
Yeah, mute.
Yeah. Oh, Maryam. Yeah, I think she's on. Someone's on mute. So
Me, I am.
yeah. Hi.
Hi. I shared just a simple one, which was actually just guiding students through our own Wintec APA. Oh, sorry, everyone. Maritana from Wintec in Hamilton, Kirikiriroa. So my simple one is actually just guiding students to use our APA guide, which is on the our Wintec library site, and that's to encourage them to actually use the actual resource we're encouraging our students to use. But it's also guiding them through to find the correct example, and then actually cutting and then copying that example and actually pasting it into their reference list on the actual draft document. And then rather than going backwards and forwards between their own document and the actual APA referencing guide, they've actually got the example pasted into their actual draft, and then using that within their draft copy to just replace it with the information that they're using, transposing from their reference. So just something simple, so they're not going backwards and forwards and switching screens. So, you know, they're not using up extra brain space for something that's trivial. So, very simple, but I find a lot of students say, oh, that's really simple, but yeah, I like that idea. And then Diane from Unitec shared something really, really interesting. Pōako Rangahau, and that's evening writing support for Māori and Pacifica students, and just add anything at any time you like, Diane. And so my understanding is that it's an open writing space, but the focus is actually on not so much the tools, but the kōrero. So it's a wānanga, and that's what Tans and I at Wintec that we try to do as well. It's that whakawhitiwhiti kōrero around different topics. But Diane, do you want to carry on with that explanation? Don't want to steal your...
You wrapped it up really just quickly. So we work in collaboration with the University of Auckland. Mona O'Shea, she leads the space, and it's an opportunity for Māori and Pacific to postgraduate students from first year through to PhD students, where we write. We come together, we write, we kōrero, we whanaungatanga, we eat, we share our kai. Well, only verbally, not, you know. And so they run Monday to Thursday night. We start from 7:30, and usually Mona and I jump on at any time, but Mona and I probably the last to leave around midnight. But it's this is an opportunity where our Unitec students have found it very useful receiving support in their own specific areas from our PhD students. One thing that we always talk about is there are no borders, regardless of the different institutions where we are. So our students, they can be up north, they can be down south in Taranaki and Hastings in the south who join us. But given that they're Māori Pacific, we all help each other. And the only tool that we would use is probably when we're actually writing is YouTube. So you can choose to listen to the music. We have a dedicated MC who, one of our postgraduate PhD students who plays with music, or we can switch off. But it is an opportunity where we can coordinate. So that's our tool. It's not a digital tool. We like to talk, we like to share, and we like to talk.
Yeah, and actually that's really interesting because that's so much about the building that sense of being part of a community, which is so much of what we've been trying to achieve in our writing retreats. I'm just thinking, I'm looking at the time, which is always what happens when you have discussions. If there are things, please put stuff into the chat so that we can have a record of some of the things that happened in your discussions, but maybe just one thing that came out of the other two groups that was really quite an important part of your discussion. So I'll be mean there. What about you, Deb? Can you perhaps give us something from your group?
From our group, we all agreed that we had come to this
Hello, Ben speaking.
to learn stuff. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
So we agreed we had come for answers rather than sharing, and as well as we've certainly been getting lots of ideas, we did talk about how we support people online. I have got a question for you, Andrea and Maryam. How do you actually build the group? Because that was how you started in your presentation, that we have a lot of our postgrad students are offshore, they're in different countries.
We'll show you.
And how do you build?
What a really good question. We were going to show our Padlet at the end, so that will kind of sum up a little bit of what we do, which is a very important part of the day. So where is it? Can we? Yeah. Right, so we use the Padlet, and building the group is about getting everyone together right from the start. People know what's going to happen. We put it all up on the Padlet, and that we have a big discussion when everybody comes in the morning. And so we encourage people to add to the notice board during the day. And a bit like we're doing with this conference, we allow people to do live, put live questions in. And these are the sorts of things that help us build the resources that we've managed to gather over the years. We also find out what are the things that students are having kind of difficulty with. And so one of the other aspects, and there's some of the resources that over time we've gathered from students, and because a lot of people are finding little parts of their writing difficult, and so we keep finding the resources that will help. As Maryam said, we also have breakout rooms for people to come and talk to tutors. But also what's important, and I was very much drawn to that this morning with our keynote speaker, we see it really important to get engender this sense of community, but also recognize that when you're writing, you need breaks, you need to have things that help you relax, and you need to also stress that there's thinking times involved. And it's okay to stop, share. And that was why when we did the word cloud, it was things like students just loved. We put in a yoga session during the lunch break. We put in fun activities for kids, for the kids, listen to me, for the students to do. So that was one of our really important part, was to stress the fact that you can't write 24/7. You've got to have thinking time. You've got to have relaxation time. and that you need to have sharing time. So people would come back during the morning tea breaks, the lunch breaks, and the afternoon tea breaks. And what we found was that out of it, students kind of got to know one another. And so they did make connections with each other outside the writing retreat. And that was really quite exciting, because we obviously had found a way in which people felt that they were connected to some of the people. So, but one of the things we felt was important is that we're all in this environment, we're all kind of quite equal. We've all got really valuable things to share. And so, as I said before, having that opportunity to share and feel part of a community was very important.
Yeah, and also some of you might be wondering how you get your Padlets. So you go to padlet.com and you need to log in, and then you can create 5 Padlets for free. So you just need to go to make a Padlet and choose different formats. So Padlet allows you to use different designs. For example, you can use a wall format, a stream, a grid, shelf, or map format, and you just start posting. It's really easy. You just go into the plus sign, and then you need to decide what you want to do, whether you want to add a link or add an image or whatever you want to add a document, and then it takes you from there.
Yeah.
So
and you'll all have a nice lot of practice doing
Yeah.
it today by contributing to the Padlets, the one that is running for the conference.
Yeah, so this is something we shared in Chatlands. So we had people contributing to this Padlet. So this is another design. This is the column format, which looks really neat compared to the one that we initially designed, which was this one, which was a little bit messy, as you can see. But comparing this to a column format, this looks very neat, just like the Atlas Padlet that you are looking at today. And some of you had questions about how to find a Jamboard. So what you need to do is, we don't have time, but
I'm really sorry. I've realized that we've gone well over time.
Yeah.
So what we could do is put a lot of information up in the chat for you and make this presentation available for you so that we can keep on sharing. So
Thank
we'll
you
go back.
very much. My apologies as chair. Yes, I was supposed to give you a sort of a 5-minute warning. I think this is a conversation.
Well, it just shows how much time
Absolutely. But
information from people is. Yeah.
Other thing is, I thank Andrea and Maryam very much that at the end of this session, and as I say, hopefully people will have time still to get to the next lightning session if they want to in Ruma Tahi. But there is an opportunity after this. We've got a special interest group for people who are interested in academic writing.
Oh, great. Good.
So if people would like just to hang about and keep talking, we can just slide into the special interest group.
Special interest, yeah. No, that's good. No, I just really enjoyed the popping into the rooms and hearing from people who are so experienced and
How do you advertise your sessions? How do we
advertise the session?
Oh, that was the question initially.
Yeah, right.
So what we did was we have an assigned Moodle page for higher degree students or research postgraduate students. So we do announcements. We send Google Forms. So we invite students through Google Forms. They fill the form and they send it to us, and then we generate the Excel sheet and we see how many students are enrolled. So we get students to enroll on the Moodle page for postgrad research students. We share the link on the page itself, or sometimes we send an email to all the students and then they fill the Google sheet. And then we know how many students are there, and we cater, if you're doing it
doing it physically, yes.
Yeah, we add in what type of dietary requirements and things like that as well.
Yeah.
But for online, it's just filling the form and seeing how many students and from which faculty and division. So we see a range of students coming in.
It can be very helpful knowing where people are coming from in terms of perhaps putting up resources and so, because when we do the physical retreats and our online, we're getting a huge range. We're getting science students, we're getting education, management, all with really fascinating pieces of writing they're needing to do. So,
Did you say they fill in a Google sheet?
well, we're just putting it up now.
Oh, we'll show you what we mean.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you go into, can you see your screen?
Mhm.
So if we go in here, so today our presentation was created using Canva,
Which
so
we
this-
haven't used before.
Yeah, so this is a new
Yeah.
tool that we use today with you. I mean, I've been using it in the past, but we didn't use it for presentation. So this is a really versatile tool as well. So to find the Google form, what you need to do is you go into the Google Drive and go into these dots, and then you go into the forms and you just create
Whatever.
So for example, we recently, these are some of the forms that we have created. So this is one of the forms we did for the writing retreat. So we just had this student learning writing retreat, 21st July, and then the name, division, attending the writing retreat. So they just click whether they're attending,
That's good.
and then joining through Zoom. So some people come through, even on a physical, when we do the physical writing retreat, there are people who join us through Zoom as well, because they are either in Tauranga or Rotorua or somewhere else. And then the dietary requirements. So that's how we do the Google Sheet. And then you find the responses of the students, their emails and everything. And then you actually, if you click that Excel sheet, I'm sorry for being too quick. So if you click the Excel sheet, you see all the information on a sheet. And it's really easy. You can print it out or have it online and see how many students are attending. And you look at,
We probably shouldn't be showing
Yeah.
people students'
So-
names.
yeah, so that's it.
How often do you run the writing retreats? Like how often a semester would you run them?
We started off, you wouldn't believe, we started with one, and we had it off campus actually in St. Peter's Cathedral way back. This is about 10 years ago. Now we, in the last, before COVID hit, we were running 4 a year. So in April, June, September and November, just tying in with different periods and new students coming in to do work. Yeah.
Was it a
So-
deliberate move to have them off campus?
Oh, in the first instance,
Yeah.
the thing was we didn't really have a space available in our area to run a retreat. So we thought it was an idea to have it off campus so that people would kind of get away from that feeling of being in an institution. And so we do have a wonderful space on the edge of our campus. It's that is used a lot for teaching professional development, and it's set amongst trees. It's lovely and quiet. It's got a nice little kitchen. It's got 2 rooms that we can use with good facilities. Because it is actually, to me, quite important when you're having a writing retreat that people are in the room together. And so they get that motivation from it. And so we've been quite lucky in the years before COVID. And so now trying to emulate that space online has been so much of what we've put into the use of the Padlet, because we analyse what it is that actually students got out of the retreat. And it wasn't always just a space to write. It was so much more. It's so much more about being in the
Thanks, Andrea.
in the right frame of mind and all that. Yeah.
So we hope that we had a good session today, and we were able to share the resources and tools that we've been using with our students. So thank you so much for your contributions and thank you for your presence. We really enjoyed it.
So this discussion, this interest group, can we just continue on with if people are interested? Yes, we won't
That would
leave.
be absolutely fine if people want to stand up, stretch, have a break, and come
Yes,
back.
have a break.
People may well come in at 12:30 from other sessions, but the opportunity for the special interest group is just to keep the conversation going, but if need be, to share contact details and stuff as well.
That would be lovely. No, well, as I say, we were really fascinated with going into the various groups. I felt a bit terrible sort of leaving when someone was in the middle of talking, but we wanted to make sure we got everybody.
And also, I think we need to thank Deborah for the encouragement. I remember you mentioning about a conversation such as this in the Chatlands, that you wanted to continue with this conversation from Chatlands. So it's really, so thank you so much for that.
Yeah. And for reminding us that we needed to talk about how we built our community.
Yeah.
Because you can get a bit carried away with tools and things like that. But I think, as I say, the most important thing about a retreat is actually having a conducive atmosphere to writing. Yeah.
And then some of you might have questions about how to get access to the Jamboard, the Google Docs, Padlet, and all these things. And we are always happy to tell you how to do that.
Yeah. And are you running writing retreats at online ones, Deborah, or are you
Our Faculty of Graduate Research runs a boot camp.
Oh, that sounds
twice a year for doctoral students nearing completion. They have to apply to attend and put a case for why they need to be locked in a room for sort of, it's a couple of days at a time, again with breaks and food. I have done sort of 3-hour writing workshops pre-COVID. I must admit they've fallen over a bit. And the notion of building an online community of writers I'm really interested in because we have a lot of offshore students. But I suspect if the conversation keeps going and people want to stay, we can open it out beyond just online writing retreats and just supporting writing of all flavours, I think.
Yeah, that's good. But I wasn't really interested, Catriona, because I know that you were talking about your putting up a question, was it to start with? Was it on the board? I kind of missed the
was that was in the breakout room? Was it?
Yes, it was.
Yeah. It was just that when I did the online ones, we used Google, shared Word document, Microsoft, just a plain shared Word, because in the in-person writing retreats, we have a space where everybody has a little space with a post-it note, and they use post-it notes at the start of every session to set a goal, and then we reflect on those goals so everybody can see during the day. Some people choose not to do it, that's fine. So to replicate that online, I had a shared Word document which you just set up as a table, and people could go in and put their name, and then for each session there was a column for their goal, and then another column for reflection at the end of the session, and so people chose whether or not they wanted to put something in there. So it just replicated what we do with the post-it notes.
Yeah.
But other than that, we used to do was have that setting a goal and for the day. And we also stress that sometimes you might just like to read, or you don't actually have to say, I'm going to write 1,000 words or whatever. It's very much where you are at the time.
Yes.
But
I think that's really important because sometimes you get students who will email me a day before and say, oh look, I've registered, but no, I need to do my data analysis, or I'm not ready to write, or whatever. So people have this idea they've got to be writing, and so we do exactly the same. You say, look, actually what you'll find, the feedback consistently shows that it's all of the manaakitanga, the well-being aspects, the goal setting, the being in a sort of dedicated, focused place with that peer support. So it actually doesn't really matter what people are doing. I mean, they could be writing, they could be, creating their graphs. They are working towards that final completion. So it's very individual.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, one of the things too is that knowing that someone's there who you can talk things over with, and that's where the breakout rooms work really well. So I'll go in a room with someone and Maryam with someone else, and we'll just work through things. And that's often where you find where there are actually really interesting little problems that students are having with writing too. And we create them, as Maryam said, we find resources, or we can direct people towards things that are going to be really helpful. And the sharing too is good.
So I was just going to say that I think it's really good too in those, with those questions when you've got people there in a group, whether it's virtual or physical, is that opportunity then to share that question and the possible solutions with everyone else, because very often people have a question, they come to you in the breakout room or in the withdrawal room we have for the physical retreat, and then you think, well, probably a lot of people in the rest of the group would like to know about that. So that then might become, the starter or the finisher for the next session.
How many writing retreats would you have run in the past? A year?
Well, we do about 9 or 10 days a year. Last year we did a few more, and then I'm also doing half-day ones because that was kind of a compromise where people wanted more, but you run up against resourcing issues, and also I can't fund catering, for more than 9 or 10. But so I'd have these half-day ones, and I managed to wrangle prepaid coffee cards out of the postgrad director. So it would be a morning or an afternoon. It's very informal. That the room is there. I undertake to be available, and halfway through, we rustle everybody up and hand out the coffee cards, and they go and have a coffee together and have a bit of kōrero and then come back. So it's kind of low input, but high output. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And it just keeps the momentum going. Yeah, when there's, because like everybody, you get those periods, especially first semester, when everybody is just so flat out. Running a writing retreat for a whole day can just seem impossible, and they tend to get put in the breaks. And this is a way of having them during the teaching weeks. And it also means that we have ours open to all research students. So that will be BSc honours students doing a half-year dissertation, master students doing a dissertation, not a thesis, right through to PhD. So for the honours students, they tend to go home in the break, right? If they're from outside the area. So that means they would miss out on a lot of the whole day writing retreats. So that is an opportunity for them as well. Plus they have coursework. So half a day might be more practical for them than a whole day.
Yeah, because we do invite all comers in terms of thesis writing. We actually changed the name of our Moodle page for doctoral, away from doctoral writing, and much more into research writing. So that seems to have opened up the possibilities. Yeah.
So we call it developing research skills.
Yes.
So that's the group we have.
Yeah.
And also when we have a hybrid session where we have physical students coming physically and students joining online, Andrea would be looking after the students who are on board, and I would be looking after the students online. So we have a room a separate room where we have a large screen, and I look
That,
at
that's for the
those
online.
students.
Yeah.
And sometimes students who are in the room physically, they come and say hi to the students online, and we have a conversation with them as well. So it's really fun.
And the students online might come from all over the place. So they'll come from Malaysia. We had one who used to join from Pakistan, and they were late at night, you see, and yet they were prepared to kind of come in because they found it just so valuable.
Yeah, Deborah, what are you saying?
Sorry, I interrupted.
All I was going to say, this is a great conversation, is just that this session is now sort of segued from the earlier academic writing stream where Maryam and Andrea from University of Waikato were sharing resources for online writing retreats for postgrad students.
Program academic sessions before they start their first year of their degree, just to give them some basics. A lot of our students are second chance learners or mature students who, and for a lot of them, school was not a fabulous experience at all. They have no confidence in their ability to write, no confidence in their ability to research, and APA referencing is just a complete foreign language to them. So so we kind of have constantly evolved over the years of trying different approaches, and obviously every cohort is different and have different needs, so it's a bit matter of meeting that. I also have always taken the approach, I'm very much a relationships-based kind of person, so I work really closely with faculty, so working with them to, as Dawn said, interpret what they actually mean. Some of ours are absolutely fabulous in writing their comments and giving really fabulous feedback and sort of articulating their expectations, but many aren't. So it's around acting as that go-between and trying to make it as easy for students as possible.
I like that. Yeah, that steps into the interpreting feedback as well, doesn't it? Carolyn's turned on her camera. Welcome. Hello.
Sorry, I had my slidey thing across. I'm a academic learning advisor down in Otago, in Dunedin, based in Dunedin, and I'm enjoying hearing these ideas. I'm reasonably new to the role. I come from a primary teaching background, and one of the struggles we have, we tend to work with students right across all programs. There's 5 of us that do the role that I'm in. But one of the things that we struggle with is we offer workshops throughout the years to sort of try and work with students that give them some skills, like you were talking about, Claire, just some of those basic academic sort of writing skills and things. But we struggle with the engagement from students, actually. So it would be good, I don't know if anyone's got any magic fixes. We've tried, we've even asked some of the design students here to give us some ideas around, is it the way we're promoting them? Is it they're too long? Is it they're not long enough? Like we quite often will get asked by lecturers to come and do them in a lecture room as well. But it's just a really a generalist type of overview to give them some of those basic skills. So I don't know if anyone else has had similar struggles or has found a way to sort of get those students engaged and sort of coming to those sort of academic writing workshops and things. So yeah, thanks for sharing, everyone.
That was a question to the floor. I was about to pick on Michael because he's got his camera on, but you don't necessarily have to answer Caroline's question. But I would agree. We're often asked to do customized workshops or workshops for groups, and invariably it's the A students who come to the writing workshops. Michael, kia ora.
Oh, cool. Yes. I didn't mean to draw attention to myself. I came in a little bit late, and so I need a moment to sort of, get the momentum of the conversation.
Yeah. Where are you at?
I'm at Canterbury University. Although I'm currently at home, but yes.
Lisa's colleague. Yes. Nice.
Yeah, Kira. And I was thinking when we organize workshops, it's really good to use attractive topics. For example, demystifying your writing, blah, 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 and give a description about what it's about, just a short blurb, just to get students' attention. So that's what we've been doing recently.
Yeah, and I think not trying to cover absolutely everything. So you just pick on perhaps little things that students might have difficulties with that you've noticed from your areas. One of the biggest thing, I've been working a lot like Dawn has with nursing students, and the thing I've found really, really helpful is if you can tie in with the lecturer or tutor and be part of the tutorial, then that's the most valuable thing, because you can call on their expertise, you know, in the content area, and it also gives that kind of bit of focus, but it also gives that equality of what we can provide, and builds those connections. And I certainly found that, because we have Waikato set up a nursing program, but a lot of the students who came had very little experience of kind of the academic way of doing things in New Zealand. Many were from India. And so that was just so valuable. And it gave us more idea about what we needed to put into our resources in student learning. Yeah.
That's nice. And I can see that it makes sense for the students as well, because they can see the value of it, because it does directly relate to their courses. Thank you.
What we've tried, and that's an age-old problem, Caroline, is trying to, you know, get people attracted to your sessions. And we've gone from running very generalist sessions, not generalist sessions, but sessions that are open to everybody studying every program. But then the content that you're covering kind of needs to be contextual within so APA referencing for one program for nurses might look slightly different from an expectation that a business lecturer might have. It shouldn't, but it does. Or a hairdressing student or something. So we've moved towards more in-class sessions and almost like a just-in-time approach. So delivering it to them kind of as they need it, particularly for the first year. So students who are in their first year of their degree program, like nursing, we go in with their first assignments with the lecturer when the lecturer is giving the assignment out and talking through it. So we step it through and we talk about how they might approach and understand the question, what a structure might look like, the difference between reflective writing and writing in the first and third person. So we've found contextual approaches tend to work a little better, and also feeding them as they need it, rather than offering them a whole lot of different academic writing sessions right at the beginning of the semester, when half of them are like, oh my God, I'm so overwhelmed by being in this environment anyway, and then they've forgotten half of what you've tried to tell them at the beginning. So that's what we've tried.
Nice.
We tend to do the same too with nursing students in particular, because there's so many students. We do some embedded ones in the first year. But another thing we also do with nursing, and I'm just picking that up because many of you are working with these cohorts, because there's a number of students who don't pass those assessments, we've developed a kind of a two-pronged approach. One is that we run a resubmission workshop for all the students who are identified as resubmitting, so that they will have some support to write the resubmission. And then in the next semester, those students who resubmitted, and also those who got very low 50s, get invited to what we call a booster workshop. And that means that they get the opportunity to kind of, because sometimes the people who just passed aren't the ones who, are also ones who missed out on that support the first time. They then get a sort of booster support, very much, around their assessment. And sometimes the tutor will come in and kind of look at it from the content perspective as well. And then there are about 3 or 4 courses that this happens throughout their degree, the first year of the second year as well, first semester of the second year. We do the same. And then the first semester of the third year, where they're doing a literature review, again, we do a booster for those who didn't do so well in the previous semester, and a resubmission. And that seems to be working really well, because otherwise we're trying to manage 15 more 20 appointments, and that's just not really sustainable for groups of big students. And we're going to talk to the business staff as well about doing the same, because again, they have larger numbers. So that's one way we're managing those kind of workshops. Generic workshops, so ill attended, it's just not worth it. We're tending to do more online resources.
In fact, our library here is starting to give up on the idea of running face-to-face workshops and putting everything into little modules and podcast things for students can just dip into when they need them. Yeah.
I think that's more appropriate
If they
for
want
people
to follow
to
up, and if they want to follow up, then there's an opportunity to do that.
Thank you. Catriona has her hand up, like a good person. Thank you. You've been waiting.
Sorry, that's my first child characteristics coming through. I guess going back to the previous point and noting Dawn's comment about the tutors skipping out, because for us, I think the doing the in context work, I see it as much as for the lecturers as for the students. And so quite often, if the lecturer is there and engaged, you see them actually making notes and you think, great, they're internalising some of the language and some of the points. So I think that's a really important part of in context, is that you working alongside those faculty colleagues and hopefully, they will then start mimicking some of what we're doing. The other thing which I think is interesting about generic workshops, we do still run generic workshops. They're incredibly successful for postgrads because postgrads are really motivated. They're not well attended for undergrads, and we are coming under increasing pressure not to do them, but so far we have managed to carry on doing them because I think that they're a good shop front, because students want to engage with us in so many different ways. That just saying, well, there will be a workshop on X, even if the students don't actually attend that workshop, it's another way in which we say to them, this is what we do. And for those who don't have the opportunity of in context or are hesitant to come one-to-one, then it gives them an entree in. So that's why I like to, we do everything, even though, and I feel like there's only 2 people in the workshop. Okay, well, I would have seen 2 students in that time if they'd had one-to-one appointments. So I'm happy. And they got a really good deal because with only 2 people there.
Yeah. All right, other people. We've got Daisy, we've got Keith, we've got Kat. Want to add to the conversation? Turn your cameras on if you can. Nice to see you. It was a really interesting question, Carol, and you're right, it's gone from the how to do it to the how to lead horses to water, isn't it? Very much so. And I like the idea of a booster. We offer refresher workshops during the mid-trimester break for the same reason, that we tend to front load a lot of stuff and then we get people after their first assignment who go, oh.
Sorry, just to ask, I think it was Maryam was talking, and I don't know if anyone else, just with regards to that, one thing we had discussed was doing small recordings. Is that on specific aspects? Has anyone used those and found them useful, or yeah?
I started doing that at the University of Waikato, which was during the first lockdown, so we were at home and not having as much to do. Made a few we called them 60-second study tips, so focusing on things like how to write an introduction, how to write a paragraph, and have always meant to get back to doing those, but have just really been too busy. But we have been recording some content with tutors to be able to integrate tutor comment in as well. But yeah, it's a I would like to do, not I have to show you at the moment.
That's not, we are just moving from Blackboard to Canvas, so we're setting up a lot of online modules. But this is our website. This is what we've got at the moment. So again, it's not workshop. We've to be honest got no way of knowing who looks at it, but we often use them in sessions where I say, here's some more stuff about
yep.
thing. Yeah.
I was asked to record some sessions for some online students I was working with, and I only had like 3 people attend the actual session, but then it was watched like 36 times. So I think but I was just mortified when I watched it because it's just me talking, But the students seem to really like them.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. You're right. I think we have to, often students will say, can I have a recording of the workshop? And I'm saying, no, I need to sort of get myself in a headspace and do it. But yeah, and so these are short sessions, are they? Because I think that's the challenge with students, is watching a 50-minute lecture is way too much. How long are your recordings?
Usually by the time I've checked in with everyone, it is for an hour, but by the time I've checked in with everyone, we've answered questions. People want to ask there's questions before and after, so just trying to cater for their need. The actual recording of what we plan to do is only about 20 minutes.
Dawn, what about yours? Are they short?
We challenged ourselves to try to do them in 60 seconds. So that was very difficult. And it did end up with me speaking a bit too quickly, to be fair. So I think 2 to 3 minutes is probably better. But one thing I think that they're very useful for, obviously they're useful for social media, but very useful for linking to when you're giving written comments. So often it's really hard in a written comment to kind of give specific feedback on what is missing, say, from an introduction. So you could, sort of say, oh gosh, I think you need this in your introduction. Here's a video that talks about that. And that was really useful. So I used to use them in that way when I was at Waikato.
All right. This is nice. This has moved from just meeting people. And I've suggested in the chat, if you want to make sort of closer connections, use the private chat just to swap emails and things.
So the other thing that I use here at WIT is I've made like an A3 folded thing that just kind of talks through essay structure. And so it has a guide for, your introduction should include this, this, and this. And, think about a background paragraph. It might cover these things, or you might not need one at all, or it might be in the introduction, a main body paragraph is da-da-da-da-da. And I use that as a resource within a workshop. So it's generic, but then when I go into a workshop for a specific course, then I can say, you might have a paragraph on this bit. So that, the topic sentence could be this, or you might have a paragraph on that bit. So we tailor it to the course using it as a tool in the workshop. But I have seen some of the students do sort of print it out and use it for other assignments as well. So happy to share that if people want to have a look. d.marsh@wit.ac.nz, flick me an email and I'll send it to you.
Thank you, people. Oof. How are we going? We haven't got a website, but that's okay. We're doing all right. Zoom rules. Lovely to see you. It's probably almost time to wrap up, have another stretch. Thank you, Andrea, for suggesting we stretched at the beginning of the session. Stretch, have some lunch. We encourage you, if need be, to go to the coffee room afar, just to see what's going on there. Add your sort of details to the Padlet. Just to get a feel for how we're going. To be honest, and this is just a personal thing, I went to an international conference last year, an online one, and they had a coffee room, and it was a Zoom room, and I went and there was nobody there, and I didn't go again. But this one so far does seem to be working quite nicely to make those connections. So as you know, it's been 4 years since our last conference because the biennial 2021 got postponed for some unknown reason. So it's just wonderful. And honestly, I think in some ways the online space is bringing us together rather more probably than, given funding and things, we would have been able to do in person. So it's lovely to see you all. Thank you for that, Dawn. Yes, the technology thing. Keep smiling, and we will see you back, if not in the individual Tahirua and Toru rooms, but hopefully for the AGM again at 3 o'clock, where we get to acknowledge our executive, acknowledge our life members, and there are a couple of documents we need your input on. Thank you.
Thanks,
Thanks, Steve.
everyone.
Very useful. Thank you, everybody.